Thank you, Sue. His belly's so soft because it's suede lace. You can see if I do it that way, you can see it makes a different color. So this is my first turtle too, and I like it. It's unique. Nothing like having my first one come out looking so good. So I will be shipping this off to Sue, to cousin Sue, on Monday. Tomorrow or tonight, I will go upstairs and find the smallest little box I can wrap him up in. And he is padded. All his little parts are padded. He is like a little mini squishy. But that is not what I'm working on today. That is what I worked on yesterday. Leftovers from this hat. I'm a little discombobulated today. So for those, thank you, Britta. Thank you, Rob. Hi. This is the leather I'm working with. It is a foil embossed leather made to look like snake skin with a repeat pattern. You can see here the repeat pattern on it. And it's a style that's similar to a captain's hat, I guess, officer's hat. Yes. I was working on the hat and we were talking about the leftovers, the scrap pieces that I have, because like this is from one of the pieces that was cut out from this, and this was the scrap that was left over from it. And I was talking about making keychains. And Sue is a turtle lover, and I had a keychain pattern, turtle keychain pattern. So I pulled up the image of it and showed it to Sue, and the next thing I know, we're making a keychain. And I strategically cut it where, let's not do it that way, where the legs are all made out of, I cut out the green. I carefully placed it in the locations of the green so that his flippers and his head would all be green. One of the flippers has a little bit of blue on the edge. And this, actually two of them. He has a birthmark. He has a little bit of blue here and a little bit of blue here and a little bit of yellow here on the highlights. But for the most part, his flippers are all green and just rainbow colors on his scoots. And this green leather is what I am using to line the leather, because this leather is not thick enough to make the type of hat I'm trying to make. So I'm using this as liner for the hat to give it some stability. And Sue, being the person that she is, was like, yes. And then I'm going to use this, the rest of this, and I am going to be making Rosie a miniature pirate hat keychain. I will probably print that off later today, and do that, sew on that during her live. But yesterday we laid out and cut this part, or laid it out. I didn't cut anything. Having to reach behind me to the flat surface where I had all this laid out. Rim and this part. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, CPR. Oh, yes, Lisa, see? Sue's turtle was finished last night, as I said it would be. So I'm going to leave this little guy sitting over here. I'm going to leave him right here where he can keep his little head watching me. So now I'm going to position things where I can get to them easily. Our next step is punching holes. The hole punches I had made for me. These came from Rango Leather. It's a company from another country. And hold on one second, because I have someone with a bowl of something in front of me. Oh, that's for you? That's not for me. It's my daughter.
What'd your cat did?
My cat scratched you.
I was giving
You
him
want to put it under
pets.
here and show it to everybody else?
Where?
My camera is right here.
Look at the violence from the cat.
Look.
I was giving. Ow! Don't poke it. What is wrong with you?
My cat scratched my child because she messed with him.
He was messing with my toes, and I gave him scratches.
Say hi to the stream.
Hi, stream. Bye, stream. I'm going to eat my thumbs.
So, and this one is a 1 millimeter punch. And I have to figure out which one of these I can use. Not that one. That will work. So I get my hole punches in singles, doubles, and then fives, because when I'm working on the parts, like these that are straight, it is far easier to do 5 holes at a time. And so I match it up to make sure they're going to match. Actually, I don't do 5 holes at a time. I do 4, because when I punch it, I go back and I put it in the last hole to line it up to give it better spacing, to maintain the spacing. This is a standard teak handle, and I rub it over where I'm going to be punching. And the reason for that is it lubricates it. I don't know another way to put it. It lubricates it so that it pushes what we call the leather poop through and out the hole as I go along, and it doesn't clog up my punches. This piece will be a little bit more difficult, because in here there is a 3rd layer, which is one of those cutting boards. It's a piece of a cutting board. And I know I had a piece sitting over here. I just don't know what I did with it now. But it's that basic plastic like cutting board sheet that you can get. And I did that to give this stability so that it will have shape. Yeah, I do use some hacks. There's actually some proper stuff you can buy to put in there, but it basically, when I got it and I felt it, it felt like one of those cutting boards, and it's a lot more expensive. And so one of the things I try to do is cut the cost where I can, because when sometimes the cost is half of the charge, and then my time is the rest. When the supplies are half of the cost, that gets there. Let me see if I can do this with the two. With this being on the curve, that's going to be tight. So I'm going to do it with single and see if I have my camera better located where I don't smack it. And you can see there's markings on here for where the holes go. The patterns were originally designed to have a hole punch with a wider diameter. I prefer the smaller one, so when I stitch, the holes kind of disappear better. That's what I did on here. You don't see any gapes in the holes where the holes are. I found with the 1.5-inch diameter, after I've stitched it, you could hold it up and you could see through the stitch holes, and I don't like that. I'm going to try to move this cord out of the way and leave Mr. Turtle right there. I hope everybody is doing well on this beautiful Sunday. I hand sew, Sue. I do use my machine, but most of the stuff I do, I hand sew. If I'm punching holes like this, it is being hand stitched. The garrison caps, when I make those, I do sew those on the machine. And it's a little bit more difficult to sew those on stream because where my computer is and where the sewing machine is not in alignment very well. After I cut this out, I will pull apart the layers of leather slightly, and I will cut that yellow back to be just inside the stitch line. That way it's not that plasticky piece isn't rubbing up against someone's head. And you can see how the leather pieces are coming out. And you can see that center layer. That's why I waxed it with the candle, so that it would do that. And I'll just keep piling it up until I haven't so much that I have to move it. Some people complain about it. I don't complain about it coming out, because it's like, yes, I want it to come out. I have actually had to clean out one where it didn't come out so easy. And it is worse than having to clean a clogged drain at your house. because I have to use a very, very small pen, PIN pen, to pick the leather pieces out. Sometimes I think I like to hand stitch because it brings me back to my beginnings in sewing. Because that's what I did when I started sewing. I started sewing hand stitching. I would sit in the room with my mom when she was sewing clothes for people. And my grandson Topher has just brought me coffee. Say hi to the stream, Topher.
Hello.
Miss Lisa's in there. And then it says there's 5 people watching. I don't know if 5 people. I know Rob is in there. You don't know Rob. You've not met him. And then Sue. On Lisa's stream, you hear her refer to her as Cousin Sue. And they're saying hi back to you. Yes, he brought me the nectar of the gods. And Lisa put it in all caps. Hi, Topher. Because coffee is what a person needs to survive.
Yep.
Go get your coffee.
Coffee. AC on, right?
Yes. Only in my family. Only in my family would they ask if it's okay to turn the AC on. Let me see what the temp is here. Yeah, we're going to start having a winter storm here, and he's wanting to. It is 67 degrees outside, and my grandson wants to turn on the air conditioning. Sue, I used to drink soda a lot, and then I gave it up, and now you will rarely see me drinking any kind of sodas. I don't even know the logic behind why I gave it up. I just did. It's just one day I said, you know what? I'm taking this part out of my life. No more sodas. Hello, Elizabeth. Thank you. Okay, Lisa. I thought the game was at 6:30. I have to turn on my little heater at my feet. My feet are cold. Because the heat in the basement does not work. And we've kind of had other things more pressing that needed to be taken care of over the heat in the basement. Since the basement is not a standard living space. My daughter and I use it. She streams her gaming stuff. And I do my leatherworking down here. So we just keep our little heaters under our desks. For when we need it. I do like the new light I got in here. The basement has 3 light fixtures, 2 of which are attached to fans, and one's just in the center of the room. The problem is the length of this basement, and there's only 3 lights. Works fine for regular stuff, but not if you need to do anything major. Trying to do this with using just the ceiling lights, it's very, very dark. And so I was originally using drop lamps like you'd use those clip-on drop lamps like they use in mechanic shops. Come on. I have a tendency to put my finger over the hole when I'm doing this, so I have to help it out sometimes. But I was using one of those clip-on lamps, and I had a couple of floor lamps, but they just still, I was having to use so many different kinds of light at one time. And when I would stream, I would have to turn my camera light on. And that just, now I have the light on, and that's only the second setting. It actually can be brighter if I need it to be. Oh, okay, Lisa, I understand now. It's so people can see what their numbers are based on what squares they picked. But yeah, the light I got, it actually has 5 different lights attached to it. It's an octopus light. And you can either have 2 lights going, 3 lights going, or all 5. I actually bought 2 of them because I didn't think one would be enough light, and it is. I will still put the other one down here and probably put it next to my cutting table once I go in and rearrange, because I have to rearrange things in order for me to use my start practicing with my laser cutter. I don't have the full room I need to set it up and put the cooler and the air filter on it. I had someone inquire today about a flat cap, another flat cap. That'll be fun. Oh, that's holes in all those pieces. and one pile of leather poop. Clean that up. I end up throwing it into a container. And that's a piece of that cutting board. That's the piece that I cut the brim out of last night. I can move the glue from stuffing. Trying to find my sharpening piece of leather. It's just a thick piece of leather, and I have polishing compound on it. I just give it several swipes going on both sides of the knife. Hi, Sandra. Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful time. Baby showers are always fun. Test how much pressure I'm going to need to. Yeah, that'll cut. That did not cut through all 3 layers, so. Lisa will be back. when you're cutting, you can feel if you've hit a bump on anything. And with all the gluing I did yesterday, I can feel where there was more glue or less glue, even though I worked to make it pretty straight. Straighten out that edge just a little bit. I don't like using the scissors, but that's going to be the brim. Nice and rainbowy. This looks like it's pretty centered. So I'm excited about that. Let me find the correct container of pieces. This is it. I keep all my little things in these containers. I think drink mix came in them originally. One of my hole punches was in there. Doesn't belong in there. Neither does the clip. But I have the half circles in one. I have the quarter circles in one, and then I have the ones that are like a triangle. These are some paint brushes. And just to keep this edge rounded. Through. I have a tendency to start with the more difficult parts. It's almost like if I do the hard stuff first, then the rest is all easy going. Oh, I hope that did not cut through my leather. My hand slipped. Because I am putting pressure on this as I cut to get through actually 4 layers of leather. And no, there's only 2 layers of leather on this one because I did not put the liner on this one. There was no reason to use the liner leather as I went since I was putting the stronger stuff in the middle anyway. Let me see if I can. It does not appear to have cut through. And see, you remember yesterday I told you I used that water-based glue? And this is why I only use it in areas that will be stitched, because it will pull up. And you can see it just pulls right up. But that's okay because of what I'm doing. And the reason why I had these together to do this is because I wanted to make sure that these were cut precise when I stack them back together. So I'm going to cut this now. I'm just going to hand cut it just barely inside the holes. And that way when I stitch it, this will be inside the stitch line. So when I construct the hat, this is not rubbing up against someone's head. Because of the way the brim goes on, this edge is going to be what touches the person's head. Well, right around this area, there'll be a piece on it, but this is still going to rub up against their head if I leave this stitch line on there. And that just doesn't appeal to me. I wouldn't want that on my head. And I will round these corners when I'm done so that I don't have nasty points to poke someone in the head. I need to start just cutting out or printing off an extra piece of the pattern of the brim so I could just make a template for this piece instead of doing multiple steps like this. I want to cut this edge just a little bit. And when I stitch it, it'll fit in there tight. And I guess it would help if I kept stuff in the camera. I think I told you yesterday I have a tendency to pull things to me when I'm working on smaller stuff. I pull it into me, and which doesn't help you see what I'm doing. So yeah, that's going to be just inside the stitch line. And all of these edges will be covered when I get done. Yeah, that's going to be cool. See something. Oh yeah, absolutely is going to be perfect. I'm going to put a tiny bit of glue back on here and stick it back together. You don't need a lot. I will also use these cutting board pieces in the bottom of some of the bags that I make if they need a stiff bottom and I'm not using a stiff leather to give it a, like if it has a rectangular base. If the bag is supposed to have a rectangular base that can sit on the floor, because I don't like it when you're carrying a bag that's supposed to have a flat bottom and the bottom starts sagging because of the weight of the stuff in it. Thank you, Kimberly. You know, Rob, I was concerned when I first saw this leather that this is what she picked for this hat. I mean, it is a costume piece. It's not a I wear this everyday hat. But I was still like, okay, are you sure? It's actually bought as a gift for someone else, and they showed me pictures of the person who's going to be wearing it. They said this is her style, and I looked at it and I'm like, okay, I can see this. I'm going to use this to line these up. Yeah, that's lined up. They actually lined up perfectly. I don't know if you can see. Let me see if I can see it through there. Yeah, you can see the holes. You can actually see through the holes. And this edge is a little crooked and it won't matter by the time it gets finished. It'll be hidden. So yeah, part number 1 is ready. Oh, thank you. Yes, that's Sue's turtle. I kept putting him away, but decided I would put him where I could pull him out. And I put the brim behind me so that I can put him on a flat surface. But that's Sue's turtle that I did up with some scrap leather last night. I am trying not to sneeze, but I think I'm going to sneeze. My allergies go crazy with this weather changing. I am going to sharpen my knife a little bit more. And the reason for that is I was just cutting through cutting board with my razor knife. And I do make sure that I sharpen both edges. Because it is, I mean, it's a standard box cutter knife. I think I'm going to have to move my water bottle. And I'm going to move my coffee. But yeah. I need to text someone. I need to text my family and ask someone to bring me something. We have a family group chat. It's the best thing we've done. realized I quit smoking. I vape now, and I've been vaping for several years. Yes, I know it's not always great for you. Um, I think the vaping is better than the smoking. Not having the tar in my lungs anymore. It's a trade-off. I understand that. But it is what it is. It's a choice I made. So I'm going to, I need more vape juice. So I left a little note, texted the group chat. And let me see if I can pull up that image again. Thank you, Ollie. Say hi to the chat.
Hi, chat. Your cake is gonna have butter.
Ollie is the one that loves to bake, and Ollie is making Mimi a birthday cake. And so for those who were not on my stream yesterday, let me put this up. I'm going to present, share screen. This is the style hat that I'm making. And so we just cut out this, well, you can't see that. We just cut out this brim. Now the piece I'm working on is this piece here that'll go around the hat. And you can see how the edges will be covered. I also take where this is back here, and I actually, no, I'm not sure if I'm going to extend it. I might extend it all the way around. I need to look and see. I haven't decided yet what leather I'm using for that. If I'm just going to cut strips of the rainbow leather to use on that edge, or if I'm going to use like a black. Same thing for this up here. This piping. I'm thinking of putting in a, seeing what kind of thin leather I have, but I'm thinking about putting in a black piping. I think that would set it off. Opinions are welcomed, but I think a black piping and using black on the edges will make it pop a little bit. So that's the style we're using. And I always mark up my image when I'm showing people things, but I can always undo it and leave it back to the original. So I'm going to go back to me. And yeah, it's a standard officer's hat. And I have it in two styles. I have it with a taller front. Some people don't like it because they think it's reminiscent of old Germany. But U.S. military used to use the taller fronts as well. I'm thinking about using the black thread. That's what I did on the turtle. And I like the way the black thread looks on it. Because it just goes in with all the different colors. I think the black looks good on it. So I'm going to go black thread, black piping, and black edges around the perimeter. I just have to make sure when I'm stitching this, I don't stitch it overly tight. I have a tendency to do that. And then the leather doesn't stretch the way leather stretches when it's supposed to. I'll be glad when Topher and I have time to come down here and rearrange so that I can do work from my larger table, larger workspace. What I'm working on is actually an old chemistry table, and I have a large cutting board on it. And I cover my cutting board in tape as I'm working along because, as you can see, hole punching marks it up and cutting marks it up. And that makes the cutting board itself look nasty. So I put tape over it and do my cutting and everything. And then I just pull the tape off and start when I start a new project. Yeah. I am going to do a quick measurement on this part. Would help if I was looking at inches. Let me see what she told me. I keep everything when I'm working. I keep everything in a list. I keep the measurements of people. Okay, she told me a 21-inch hat. So when I get done with this one, it is going to be bigger than 21 inches. So I should be able to put a sweatband in it for her. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, I guess I'll work this way. And these ends are not spaced the same. Will this one fit it? No. I'm gonna have to use the individuals. It's the spacing does not line up with my hole punch, which is weird because, and I don't think you can see that. When I try to line up the hole punch on the holes, it's not lining up. But when I go this way, it does line up. So I'm going to have to single punch the ends. This goes in the center back of the hat. It's kind of fun that someone, asked me to use such a crazy leather. I mean, I used one for a box that I made myself. It was actually the same leather, but just different colors. It wasn't a rainbow. It was purples and teals. They classified it as a rainbow, but it was not. Let me take the top off because I cannot put the entire box under here because it's too tall. But I wanted something cool to use when I travel to carry small things in. And actually, I have two of the boxes. I have two boxes so I can. So this is what prompted them to get the rainbow leather, because I had this one, which is your purples, blues, and some mossier greens, because I was making this box that has the cutouts in it. And I used the purple kangaroo leather behind it. And because it's thin, I backed it with a brown leather that's the inside of the box. So this is the smaller of the boxes. And this one just has a slip-on lid like the old hat boxes would have. And then on the big one, the top has a handle. And it has buckles on four sides. But the lady saw that hat box. Hi, Jennifer Mason. Thank you. Oh, yes. Jennifer is a rainbow person. I am making a black officer style hat out of this leather. Jennifer Mason is what I would call the original Rainbow Bright from birth. Like Jennifer was born in rainbows. So, yeah, I'm making one of those officer style hats for somebody out of that. Our friend Vari is gifting it to someone. When I saw Jennifer in November, her hair was rainbow. So now you can see I put this in the last hole. I'm putting it in the last hole moving forward. That maintains the spacing. Whereas if I did it single hole, I could still maintain the spaces, but this makes it just easier and quicker. Now that did not punch all the way through all of them. And so this makes my hole punching adventure quicker. And all those holes go flying out everywhere. And these pieces are smaller than the ones from before, because the ones from before, which is this one, have that yellow layer for that brim support. And this one just has the 2 layers of leather, which is this wonderful nubuck. It's going to be very soft on the inside with this nubuck green, which was the first leather I saw that was by when I put it next to the rainbow. I was like, oh yeah, that goes together. Which worked out perfect for making the turtle for Sue, because it's made out of the exact same leather as this craft project I'm working on. Mr. Poppy has to move. Yes, that is Sue's turtle. Sue has a thing about turtles and the color green. And the turtle kind of works both of those because of it being green. Just knock those pieces out of there. And knock them out because they keep falling back into the holes. Yes, Rob, I am sure that the process of creating this leather is something else. I know on standard embossed leather, they just roll it through a machine and then they dampen the leather first and then they push it through the machine to emboss it with the design. And sometimes they have to push it through to do it with the coloration as well. But this it does have the texture, so it is embossed the way you would traditionally emboss a leather. So it's not just a design on here that's on top of it, but it is actually embedded into it on these shapes. The sides of the shape are actually slightly raised. So it is actually embossed leather, but they also used a foil. And I know that because I peeled a piece of it off one of the edges. It's not easy to peel off, but it's a foil that the shiny rainbow stuff is a foil that's attached to the embossed leather. I don't know how to better describe it. So I guess it's like a heat processed. It's not going to be a standard gluing because it's harder to pull apart than that. I pull this up because I can see if I cut through all the way through all the leather layers. When I pull it up, I can see the cutting board through the holes. And that tells me I succeeded. I need to make a diaper for these hole punches. I need to make something that fits through these and comes up and is like a little bell up here. And that way it'll catch all the leather poop, as we call it. It would make it a little bit neater for me. Some people use Ziploc bags. There's a hole back here that did not get it. Here we go. This helps me maintain my spacing when I'm going through areas like this where it's double taped. Seeing the holes is a little more difficult. But as long as my first one lines up and my last one lines up, I'm pretty sure the 3 in the middle are lined up as well, since there is consistency in this. And again, I use that wax on there, and then you wind up with them stuck together like this because of the wax that's on the top of them. And it is just basic, your basic paraffin candle wax. I actually bought a bag of the tea candles from the secondhand store. They were brand new. They had a bag of multiple open bags, and they were cheap. I paid like $1, and I've been using the same bag of candles for the last few years. They had like 50 or so candles in it. And, you know, I wasn't worried about them being dinged up or anything because I'm misshaping them by using them, rubbing them on the paper before I punch holes anyway. So the fact that some of them were dinged up really just didn't matter. And I saw one of those go through a hole. The leather pieces often will fall back down in the holes. If I actually wanted it to fall in the holes, it would be very difficult to get it to do that. But because I really don't want it in the holes, it just slides right through. It does take a few more wax to get a few more hits with the hammer to get this to go through all the holes to punch. Sometimes, depending on the leather, it takes more hits than what it would take with a single. But it's still worth it to have all my holes lined up better. They have some people that use a hole punch that has 8 prongs on it. Yes, Sue, I do use a special thread for this. I personally use a waxed poly thread, and there is a lot of wax on it. I can actually pull the wax right off of it. That's wax that's on the thread. And the reason why you use a wax thread is same reason why I put the wax on it when I go to hole punch, is it creates a lubrication, and so that it goes through the holes easier, but also leaving the wax, some of the wax on the thread, it helps fill that space when I get finished and I tap my threads down. It helps fill those holes and seal those holes up. This particular roll of thread, the spool of thread, is really heavily waxed. I usually don't like it being that heavily waxed. But if I make something and I can see the wax on it, I'll just use a brush, like a toothbrush, soft bristle toothbrush, and a rag. I'll brush over it with a piece of cotton cloth which will create a friction to melt the wax and pull some of it off. And then I will use a soft bristle toothbrush to get it off as well. On small things, I just pull a lot of the extra, I pull a lot of it off ahead of time, like I just did with my fingernail. That's what I did when I made the turtle. I just pulled some of that extra wax out ahead of time. And I just realized I think I'm going off the screen again. Yeah, I thought about using rainbow thread with this, but then I thought that might be a little over the top for the look they were wanting to get. And I would have to buy some more. Oh, what do I want with my broccoli for dinner? Do I want cheese sauce or do I want hollandaise sauce? Oh, we always do cheese. Let's go hollandaise. It's my birthday. In our house, on someone's birthday, they pick what we eat. Whether it be, let's go to Red Lobster, or, which would have been good, but I just didn't feel like going out today. There's a place called Fried Tomato Buffet that my grandson loves going to because it's like home cooking. But I usually ask my husband to cook for me. Yes, I know, Jennifer. But for this one, I looked at the pictures of the person and knew that it would not suit their personality as well. For you, I'd be finding extra rainbow ribbon to put on the edges. Oh, Jennifer, the Fried Tomato Buffet is Southern food. They have some things they have on the buffet every day of the week. And then each day of the week, including the weekends, they have a special added something. Like they might have pork chops one night added to the buffet, or on the weekends, usually one night of the weekends, I think it is Saturday, they do seafood. Either Friday or Saturday is seafood. One night they'll have, I think it's Wednesday night, they have the meatloaf. They add meatloaf and I think it's chicken livers or gizzards or something to the menu, to the thing. Another night they'll have fish added to the buffet. It's kind of cool because there are staples. You always know that you can get fried chicken and a baked chicken. Yeah, Kimberly Mills, because Kimberly Mills, being a truck driver, gets to drive all over the place, finally was going to be parked in our area for an overnighter. So we were able to meet up and share a meal together. I know she doesn't get to do that often. She usually eats in her truck. So I thought being treated to a dinner outside the truck in a restaurant, sitting with other people and having conversation, not just being in a restaurant with other people, but having people you're sitting with having conversation might be a nice change up. And so we met up and had food. There is another piece with all the holes. Get my little piece of paper here. And that's most of the leather holes from this piece. They have people that use all those leather pieces that come out, the little hole pieces. They will make a needle cushion, pin cushion, to hold their sewing needles in, and they will stuff it with that leather. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate it. I appreciate people seeing what I make and liking what I make and actually wanting to pay me to make it. I think I am going to first cut off some of this extra leather so that I have good strips of a good strip of leather I can use for something else. I need to find my scissor sharpener because they're not as sharp as they used to be. And part of that was having this extra leather on there. And see, even with while that glue is not the strongest, you can see that it is. I ripped the leather before I was able to pull it off. And that's true in a lot of the cases. That strip will go into my scrap bin. I never know when I'm going to have to cover a bunch of buttons with something leather. In that size, yeah, that's perfect for doing some little covered buttons or something. That container is empty. That also cuts it down and makes it a little more reasonable to work with. Nice clean cuts. You can see the layers of the leather. Green backing. As I said before, this tape peels off and doesn't leave that residue, heavy residue like a lot of them do. A lot of your tapes leave a really, really sticky residue on it. This piece, I think, actually shows the oiling on that leather pretty good. And you can see the embossing on it. And then you have the piece here that would be the snake belly. And the snake belly, when I'm done, should be running down the middle of this piece. Everybody cross their fingers that that's true, because that was my intent. Ends off first. And I do not use a straight edge for this because I've had the straight edge slip on me when I was doing it, where I thought I was cutting a straight line, and I was cutting a straight line. Unfortunately, it was not where I needed it to be. I find that my hands and my eyes can absolutely follow a line. Pretty good. And any differences, I can just say, you know, that's handmade. Truly, truly handmade goods. Might have imperfections. I mean, obviously, I try not to have imperfections. I strive for perfection. But I accept I'm only human. I remove the tape from the scraps because if the tape stays on there for a week, it will start to leave a residue. But even though this is a thicker piece because it's backed, this is still something I could use on. It's still usable. And so I'm kind of conservative in that approach, is that I save all the stuff that might be usable. Yes, it came out right. I think it came out perfect. I had actually worked on this a week prior, and I couldn't get things to lay out the way I wanted, so I didn't cut any of the leather. I worked on it a few days, and then I set it aside and was like, you know, I'm not going to mess this up. I don't want to have to buy new leather. Because this is not a leather that I keep on hand. This is one of those leathers that was bought specifically for this project. I usually don't keep the higher end leathers in stock on hand. Um, yeah, keeping leather that's $10 a square foot on hand is not something I normally do. Um, and so yesterday I was talking about putting the snake belly down the center of this. So when I stitch it together on this end, the snake belly is continuous. And as you can see, it will be pretty continuous. It looks like it belongs that way. I still have to brush all the pieces of paper out of the holes, but that's going to work. I got it correct. So that is another piece. I am happy with this. Lay that down beside me, behind me actually. So now I have successfully cut out this piece and this piece. So I only have two big pieces left to cut out, to put holes in and cut out, and that's this one and then the very roof of it. And I know I can get that part done. And then I'll have to possibly take a break to go find the black. I know where it is. It's in my drawer of thinner leathers. But finding the thin black so I can cut out the piping and this edging material here. I'll cut that out of the thinner leather as well. Yeah. Let me just stop sharing that screen. I like that ability to share that screen so that I can show the picture. I need to set my phone up to have an automatic message sent out when I'm live streaming. Like if someone tries to call me, that it can just text them, sorry, I can't answer you right now. But then all the spam people might get messages. And I can see some of the stuffing is showing through. And now it's not. And I think I got to check something because I think I need to transfer money from my husband. I am going to go off camera for a minute because I have to take care of something for my husband. But I'm still here, just showing off my hat. I still, everybody is so quiet. Who's still here with me? Yeah, it's, yeah. I think it's going to be a showpiece for them, and that's kind of cool that I can do that. Um, a lot of the ones you can find in the stores are not leather, and that was one of the important elements, that it had to be made of leather. And I understand that some people might refer to it as snobbery. I'm like that with a lot of things. One thing is, with the exception of sneakers, if a shoe goes on my foot, it's made of leather. Um, I just will not buy cheap anymore, because my feet don't do well without quality shoes, and so I spend a little bit more for my shoes. So it's a snobbery. So I understand that, and that was one of the elements that was high on the list, was it had to be leather. And so I made sure that, yeah, I can keep that vision, because I prefer working with real leather anyway. This is true, Jennifer. You absolutely wear rainbows all the time. So, yeah, they might wear it more. The recipient might wear it more than just on a rare occasion. I hope. I just hope that they like it for, the intended purpose or whatever. Um, it's kind of important to me that a person enjoys what it is they get. And it's double when I'm making it as a gift, because the person that paid for it gets to see it, and I hope they like it, and then they're going to give it to someone else who I really hope that the person receiving it likes it. um, so it's a double thing for me, of making sure that both parties are going to enjoy what I have made, as the recipient of the gift and as the giver of the gift. I want both parties to be happy with it. And I know on the last flat cap I made, that was true. I mean, Scott's was a gift for me, and I absolutely enjoyed making it, and liked the way it came out. The second flat cap I made, one person was buying it for another, so I was antsy until the first person received it and loved it. And then the second person received it. Comes out it's somebody that I knew. When then they received it and loved it and bragged about it. So yeah. Kimberly, it's taste. I have seen people buy stuff that, when they have finished edges, um, the two pieces don't align. And on some things that I make, it's part of the look. But on other things, it's, like like the hat that's up there, if the parts didn't align correctly, there's up and down lines on there. You can see the skull in the center, and to each side of it, there's a stitch line. If those two pieces don't butt up together, then there would be gaping in there. So there's a company that makes leather goods all the time. They make what they can consider handmade custom leather goods. And they put raw edges where they should have put a trim piece over it to cover the raw edges, or their lines are crooked. Their stitch lines are crooked, their cut lines are crooked, and people rave about their stuff. And when I started doing this, I was worried, because a lot of people were buying from them. And it's like, I can't compete with them. They're a company. They're a full-fledged company. And then I went and started looking at their stuff. And I was like, I can do better. And I have strived to always just do better. Okay, let me find my stream thing again. I have my stream up twice. I have it in StreamYard, but I also have it in, I am in YouTube myself. And one of the reasons I do that is what I am seeing on StreamYard is not exactly the way you see it. My StreamYard looks darker. And so I want to make sure that the lighting is okay for you, or if I need to turn on more lights, because I can turn on more lights. So back to this pretty of making this rainbow hat. Hi, Kendra. Welcome back, Lisa. So I'm using this rainbow leather. I know that some people have not seen this leather yet. So this is the rainbow leather I'm using to make a hat. I have, the leather is rather thin, so I have backed it with this green color. This is Sue's turtle I made yesterday from this leather. Yes, it is a cowhide. It is cowhide, but it's thin. And this is an embossed leather with a foil impregnated onto it. And this leather can be yours for just under $10 a square foot. So yesterday I started out, I was gluing the layers of leather together because, as I said, I was using this, and I put the green on the back. And this is like a nubuck, so it's really a soft leather. We glued this down yesterday, and we laid down all the pattern pieces yesterday. And then everybody said, don't go ahead and work on it while we're not here. Just do it all on the live. So we're back. And while talking, I was talking about using all these scraps to make keychains, and that's how Sue wound up with a turtle. So I'll move the scraps to the side. I will move on to the next piece. This is the very top of the hat, the crown of the hat. A nice circle. It has 2 lines of stitching. And let me pull that picture back up. I don't know, every time I move this thing, it minimizes the screen that I'm working on. I've lost my picture. There it is. This top edge, it has the 2 stitch lines so that it folds and leaves a nice smooth edge here. And it does show the stitching on the very top of the hat, which you can't see from here. But I think it'll be okay with it showing through like that. I think it's still going to look really sharp. I've done it that way before. Let me see if I can. I don't have any of them that show the very top of it like that, so it's okay. I will make sure I take pictures of the top of this one when I finish it so that I can show that stitching that shows on the top. But it'll give a nice black line all the way around, and I think it's just going to keep it nice and neat. This is one of those things that you trust the process. And Rob, you are probably correct that it is called holographic embossed leather. I could have looked where I bought it, but I just haven't. I found this leather for Vari on Etsy. I could not find it at any of the leather shops. I wound up going on Etsy to find it. I spent days Googling rainbow leather. I am not going to put that small strip across the front. I don't like it. That's actually supposed to mimic the old chin straps. I flutter. Yes, this would work with black leather to make a purse. And I've got this piece that's so big that this is actually a decent size piece that I can see this on the front of a bag. Just might have to do it. And I have other pieces. I still have this. This is all the leftover of it. So I have a sizable piece that I can make something with still. Thank you, Kaz. Jennifer, you cannot sell your organs on Etsy. nor can you sell them on eBay. It's illegal. No selling organs. And Kendra, I don't use just cow. When I made this box, this leather, by the way, Jennifer Mason, who is in here, gifted me with this beautiful leather. But this leather here, the purple, is actually kangaroo hide. I had the opportunity to buy a purple kangaroo hide. Purple kangaroos are very rare, but so I had to take the opportunity when it knocked. And then when I was looking at this leather, and I was pulling the purples to see what would match it, and I pulled the kangaroo, it just worked beautifully. And it worked beautifully for my box that I was making. And that makes it really close to the camera, but I put that strap around here just to look for a look. So I've sewn with kangaroo hide, cow hide, pig hide, and sheep. And there's actually a leather you can get that's a horse hide. That's supposed to be really good to work with. These are all ones that are taken from ethically sourced animals. I do not buy any leather on the black market from illegally sourced. I've also used kangaroo hide. I mean, not kangaroo, caiman crocodile hide. I have sewn elephant hide, but I don't like working with elephant. It's a thicker hide and it's really tough. I am going to be working with some snake skin. I have some snake skin for a project I want to make for myself, but this area has to get rearranged first because I have to lay out some big pieces of hide. I am making myself a leather cape, a full-length leather cape that will have some animal fur on it, and it will have snake skin on it. It will be my very bougie leather cape. It's one of those leather capes that most people would not pay me to make because most people don't want to spend $1,000 on a leather cape. It's all nubuck leather because the nubuck is just soft and it's silky up against your skin. And so that's what I chose, was a nubuck leather. So that means I have to brush it on a regular. I need to get me a big soft bristle brush to use for it. So it's whole time. Hi, F. Pate. I enjoy the leather work. I work with a computer for a living. So, you know, our lives are so technology based nowadays. And for me, this, because I am hand stitching, this is a removal from that technology. Yeah, I'm streaming. That's not a removal from technology. Yes, I watch videos or other lives or movies or whatever while I'm doing my leather crafting. But the actual work that I'm doing is by hand, and there's no technology involved. I am the technology. And so it calms my brain. Well, thank you, Miss Kendra, for saying that I'm cool. I'm one of the cool kids, cool old ladies with her purple hair. Yeah, bison leather is going to be similar to cow, except it's going to be a little bit thicker. I'm going back and reading messages, by the way. Hi, Diana. Yeah, I've had people approach me asking me about making clothes, and I'm like, no, no, thank you. That one doesn't match. That one doesn't match. Well, it looks like I'm single punching this. Ooh. I thought these were the same, but they're not. I'm missing my 2-hole punch with the spacing this size. And it breaks my heart to think that somebody might have mistakenly dropped it into the trash can and threw it out. I promise I'm not going to hit you guys. Ooh, I went too far. Let me turn this around this way. And this is all that new buck on the inside. So at least when the person's carrying the hat, they've got something nice and smooth to rub up against. Flutter, I have a pattern for 2 different kinds of butterflies that I use to make keychains. Hold on a minute. I use this style butterfly, which is your standard butterfly. And then I do this one. And these parts get overlapped, but you have that beautiful bottom. I'd actually cut these out because I think this rainbow leather would make a cool butterfly. So I'm going to be making a cool butterfly. It's a rainbow butterfly or 2. Maybe a dragonfly. I have a pattern for a dragonfly. A rose. A smaller rose. And a standard key fob. So I cut out some patterns yesterday. I printed off some patterns yesterday just to make a few things. I figure when I'm watching other people's lives and I'm not working on this, I can be working on something. Make a leather rose. I have not made a leather rose before, so I just want to see how that pattern comes out. I've looked at a lot of different patterns. Some of them make individual roses or rose petals. Then there's that one that takes the strip and you roll it around something, and then I'll put it up around a piece of wire. I'll leather wrap a piece of wire. But I just want to make one. See what I can do. But that's what I do when I have a lot of smaller scraps. I have to search my scrap area and see if I had any leftover ostrich from Scott's hat, because Heather inquired last night about a keychain. And I need to see what if I have any of that green ostrich left. I mean, I should have some little scraps because I haven't used it for anything except his hat and his frog. So hopefully I'll have some pieces that are sized big enough that are viable for making him making a keychain that she requested. She did not state what she wants that keychain to look like, but I will see what I have to see what I can do. Thank you, Flutter. Did you see Sue's turtle sitting over here looking all cute? I did the fussy cutting of making the head and legs in the green only, making the scoots in the multicolor, and his body is in that nubuck leather. So a fidget thing for Sue as well, because she can sit there and rub his belly. He's watching me, so that's for Sue. And thank you, Flutter, for the happy birthday wish. It has been an uneventful day. I woke up later than I had planned. I do not know why, because I went to bed. It was late. But I woke up at 7 o'clock this morning, and I'm like, no. It's the weekend. We do not get up and work at 7 a.m. or get up and play around at 7 a.m. So I convinced myself to go back to sleep, and I overslept. I actually try to never get up during the single digits on the weekends unless I'm traveling and have things to actually do. I need to remember to mark these holes because I forgot to mark holes on my other piece. Let me go a few more holes first. The hat actually has markings to help you line up your pieces correctly when you start stitching. And I often forget to mark them. And I need to send Marcia O a link because she cannot find my live. Let's see. Let me see. Thank you, F. Pate. What is my stream doing? I did not tell it to do that. Oh, I clicked on something. That's what it is. Okay. Why are they turning you away? I guess if I finish. Oh, no text. So now that I've tagged that hole, when it comes time to putting this together, I've tagged the hole with a piece of thread. I'll just cut the thread off when I get there. But that way it's marked. I just need to, actually what I need to do is grab a piece of tape, because I will so cut that thread while I'm cutting this out, and that's not acceptable. So I'll just stick him right there. And then when I go to stitch it together, I'll know exactly where this goes. And the two parts, it's where you start the center of the piping. And I'm trying to see what other part it is. It goes to, yeah, the part we haven't worked with yet, this one. And it would be back here. So this will line up, this hole will line up with the back seam. And as long as I line this up correctly, then when I sew the hat, this will actually sit straight, because it is an oval, it is not a circle. Because our heads are oval, not circles. And so this will keep the front to back centered and not skewed. I have to watch what I'm doing, because I turn my heater on and I put my foot or leg right next to it. Jennifer, I need to leave. Getting ready. Okay, Jennifer, you go have a wonderful evening. Have lots of wings and nachos. And thank you again for my birthday wish. Hi, Marcia. You made it. Thank you. Yeah, Flutter, luckily, I don't have neuropathy or anything like that, so I absolutely feel the heat before I burn myself, thankfully. I am not going to burn myself. I just have to remind myself where it is, because even with all the safety features, that little bugger gets hot. So, Marcia, I'm going to do another rundown of what I'm doing. I am working with this leather, which is foil embossed. It's embossed leather with foil over it. And Rob said what it was called, and I can't remember because my brain is like fried. I have not finished drinking my first cup of coffee today. So we're working with this wonderful rainbow leather. And we are making, let me pull up my stream thing. We are making this hat. this officer style hat out of rainbow leather. And yesterday we glued the support fabric, the support leather to it, because the rainbow leather is a thin leather and it's too thin to make the hat and actually have any stability in it. So yesterday we glued the liner to it, which I chose this green nubuck to leave it nice and soft on the inside. We glued them together and laid out all the pattern pieces yesterday. And then today we have been punching holes and cutting out pieces. Thank you, Rob. It's holographic, embossed leather to look like snake. So it has like the snake belly pattern that I put down one piece. I'm actually using the snake belly pattern to as a feature. Hi, Rosie. Good to see you here. This is the turtle I did yesterday for Sue. He's sitting over here watching me. I keep hitting my stand for my camera. Up at 5 a.m., logged in, worked 7 hours, did 3 loads of laundry, and back from the grocery store. Yeah, okay, MZ. Yeah, the turtle came out so cute. I might have to see what other scraps I have in here and make another one. It would be different. It would be different, but the same, if that makes sense. I actually have some other green leather scraps laying around here that I might look at using to go with it. But I actually got the pattern because it was on sale, and Sue loves turtles. I was thinking, I should grab this in case Sue wants something with turtles. Somebody will want something with turtles. It's worth the money that I'm going to pay for the pattern. And so I did, and then it happened last night. I might make some of the ones that are just a turtle shell. For me, for this one, I added a second piece of leather on the back that had a little bit more body to it. But also, like for the brim, inside the between the two layers of leather, I actually have a layer of this cutting board. It's the thin plastic cutting boards. You buy them in a pack of 6 or 8 or whatever. Sometimes you can get them and they'll tell you, they'll be like fruit, vegetable, fish, pork, beef. It'll tell you what that cutting board is for so that you never cross-contaminate. I buy them. They're fairly cheap. It's cheaper than buying the material that they sell for leather crafting, for stiffening up stuff. They do sell stuff for that. I've got all the little paper pieces from when I punched holes. They sell that stuff, but it costs more. And it works exactly the same. When it's between layers of leather like this, you can't see it. So do you care that it's yellow or black or gray or purple or green or blue? Do you really care? Or do you care that your leather is stiff enough to do its job? So this brim is stiff enough to hold its shape. When it's attached to the hat, it'll hold its shape. So see, sometimes I'm up at 5 a.m., but that's because I can't go to sleep and I haven't been to sleep yet. I did that Friday night. I absolutely could not go to bed, and I was up until 10 o'clock. I think I was up until 9 or 10 o'clock Saturday morning before I actually laid down and got any sleep. And so I slept a few hours. I don't sleep like most people should. 8 hours, that's a blessing for me when on the rare occasions that I can actually get 8 hours of sleep. But hey, it's up from what it was several years ago. Several years ago, I couldn't get more than 2 hours of sleep at a time. I would sleep for 2 hours and then I'd wake up wide awake. I finally trained my body to allow me to sleep more than 2 hours. But 8 hours actually physically hurts me now. And it comes from my decrepit body needing to go to the doctor and get fixed. Wonderful pieces of leather. Today is my lazy day to do whatever I want. Get my steak dinner tonight. I told them what time I wanted my steak dinner. It should come to me when I am finished streaming and Rosie gets ready to stream. MZ, I hand stitch and my actual sewing needles, they're actually a fairly blunt needle. So yes, there's no way to punch the needle through the leather. Just the needle itself. I would have to hammer the needles through, and pulling it through would be really, really difficult. Diane, I do that too. I watch. It's like I'm just going to watch these quick little shorts for 5 minutes, and then I'll go to bed, and then I'm up, and it's 4 hours later. And Marcia is the president of the No Sleep Club. Sue would like 4 hours of sleep, and so yeah, I do punch the holes. So because I stitch through them, because I do not stitch this on a sewing machine, I am stitching this by hand. Yeah, we try to take care of the birthday person because, even the grandkids, they're not little kids anymore. And they're like, no, I don't want to party. I just want to eat food. So a few years back, we decided that, it'd be, that's the big birthday thing is, what do you want to eat? And they choose and nobody else can complain. You can choose to participate or not. That's it. So, it's like one year it was, we're going to Red Lobster. Someone chose Red Lobster. And if you didn't want seafood that day, then you either suck it up, Buttercup, and go eat seafood anyway, or you stay home. That's your choice. But we're not going to change where we're going. It's wherever the birthday person says. The game starts at 6:30, Marcia, and so at the end of each quarter, she will have to pop on to do her thing to see who won that quarter based on the score at that quarter. She did a short live a little while ago I think it was around 3:15, with showing people the stuff with the box for setting up people's the scores that each person could win with. Well, Flutter, you can always make sure you order anything you need to order before everything closes today. Flutter said she wanted pizza, so when I read Monica's message, I read that last word to be pizza instead of please, because my brain is weird like that. A parrot keychain. I do not have a pattern right this moment, but I could probably acquire one. Let me make myself a note. Did everyone steal my writing utensils out of here? Other than Sharpies? Okay. Okay. I made myself a note. I will that way. I'll probably search for that while I'm on Rosie's live. Because there's certain people I get patterns from, and there's certain people I do not get patterns from. Some pattern manufacturers or makers or designers are better than others. They have some of them that'll just throw pattern pieces out there and with no instruction whatsoever and no annotations that helps you learn how to put it together. And so it becomes a big guessing game, and I don't support that. You know, at least put numbers and letters and say how to connect A to B and B to C, something. Because putting together something I'm making from leather should not be a puzzle unless it's my puzzle piece bag. If you hear what sounds like someone yelling in the background, they're not yelling at anyone. We're not having an argument at the house. It is my daughter who is evidently playing a computer game with somebody. And she plays games like COD and stuff like that. And so they get aggressive and they scream at each other. And she's in the next room down here, so I can hear her. And I don't know if you guys can hear her or not. Rosie, I am absolutely going to be working on your keychain during your live. I'm going to run upstairs after I go offline, and I'm going to print the pattern. And then I'm going to start laying out the little pirate hat. I have to figure out what percent I'm going to make it, how small I'm going to make it. Because it has to be small enough to be feasible to carry around attached to your keys, but big enough that I can actually sew it. Yes, my daughter plays multiple kinds of Call of Duties. I'm the only one in the house that actually does not play online games with other people. Everybody else in the house does. And the funny part is they don't play the games together. On rare occasions, my daughter will get on with my older grandson, with the older grandchild, and play a game. But the taste in games are so spread out that it is not common to find both two or more of our household playing the same game at the same time. But yeah, my daughter streams Call of Duty, Dead by Daylight, some other thing of go catch the ghost thing. She plays all kinds of things, depending on what her community wants to watch her play. She likes doing the horror games on occasion. Some people like her playing the horror games because she jump scares easily. So something jumps on the screen out at her and she screams like she's 3 years old. And I never got into the online gaming the way they did. I'm more of a solitary person, and I think it goes back to my occasional bouts of anti-social, where it's like, just shut up and go away kind of feeling. Where I don't want to talk to anyone. And the first round of holes is done. And I know I've got a lot of pieces in my cutter. And now we go through the second round of holes. Marcia, that's how my mom did things. She went from, cooking for a family and working in a school cafeteria to cooking for one person. And that just didn't work for her. So she would cook a whole meatloaf and she would slice it up. She would buy a family pack of pork chops, cook them up, and then divide them up and freeze them. And she just kept doing that. She would cook a whole chicken and cut it up, or she would get a large turkey breast and cook it and slice it up. And usually 1 or 2 days a month, my mom would actually stay home and cook, do nothing but cooking. And she would do the same thing for vegetables, especially when she was using a lot of the canned vegetables, because you can't buy a single serving can of vegetables. And so she would split everything up and put it in her freezer. And she had these baskets, and so anything that was left over from the last time she cooked, she would put in the basket because those had to be eaten first. And then she would freeze everything else. And sometimes she would have the whole, she might have to cook a serving of rice, it's easy to cook a serving of rice or a serving of pasta or stuff like that. It's easy to cook for one person. But yeah, her freezer was full of single serving meals. It also helped her with proportions, keeping and eating only one portion of food. Even if she was in a mood and wanted to eat 3 servings of food, her meal was split up for her. And so it would make her not eat more than she should, because she had to watch her weight because of her heart issues. So she had to keep herself in check with that. And that was one of the ways that she did it. And it would drive my uncle crazy when he would go over and be at her house at dinner time, and she'd say something about dinner. And she would only allow him to eat one portion of food. And if he complained about it, she would tell him, I cook once a month and I'm sharing my food with you, and you're not eating multiple days worth of food. And I think he caught on because he started occasionally bringing food over to Mom's house. He would run to the store. He would go and get like a bucket of chicken or something like that and bring it to Mom's house and share with her. They were the last 2 siblings in the family, last 2 surviving. And then Mom passed and he passed not long after, a few years after. But my family is not known for longevity. I still have a good number of years left, though. Oh, you got to have Canadian bacon's good on pizza. Marsha, you must be thin. I always hate that when you're right outside the delivery zone. I lived in one place where the closest place to me, I was outside of their delivery zone. And so we would have to go meet them in a parking lot. I have never in my adult life been a size 8. I cannot. If I'm wearing a size 8, then I am sick. I think my bones are bigger than a size 8. Even when I got down to a 9-10, when I got even with a 9-10, my mom would ask me if I was sick because I would have a very sunken in appearance. My collarbone would be extended. You could count my ribs. I looked like I was starving. I would have those dark circles around my eyes, that hollow look that you get from being malnourished. I did get down to a 7 once. And when I walked into, I was proud of myself because, I thought that because, people were wearing these size 0s. And so I felt size 7 was an accomplishment. And I walked to my mom's house and she asked me what the doctor said. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she goes, well, you've obviously been to a doctor because you are seriously sick. And then I did that, take a good look at yourself in the mirror. And I saw what she saw at that point, that I could see how she said that she thought I was very sick. And I did not do it intentionally. I worked at a bar at the time. I was in college and I worked as a bartender. And I was on the go all the time and I just wasn't eating right. So I did a little bit of adjustments and made sure I was eating on a regular. And I need to I need to go to the doctor and get my aches and pains taken care of so that I can start going for walks on a regular without eating any kind of pain pills. I have several things I need to go to the doctor for, and I am the world's worst. I will be the first one to preach at you to tell you to go to the doctor and get yourself taken care of. I am the last person that will actually go to the doctor and get taken care of. And it is stupid. I'm the first person to tell people, remember to take your medicine. And I am the first person to forget to take my medicine. I do not know why my YouTube, I cannot keep it active on the live. It keeps lagging behind. Let me see. Do I need to clear my cache? For some reason, it just keeps lagging behind. And I try to watch it so that I can see what you see. And Marsha, you said I have patience. Yes and no. For this kind of stuff, yes. But I also think that's one of the reasons why I steer away from making clothing, because I've had people approach me about clothing. It's one of the reasons why my cape has not even been started yet, is I do not like working on something that's going to take me a week or two to finish. I like seeing results. It's why I gave up crocheting early on in my younger years, I was taught how to crochet at a very early age. I used to sit with my grandmother and crochet. I learned that granny squares were my friend because I could do multiples in one day. MZ, I am putting off going to the doctor because of the fight that I'm going to have to do. Because basically, I'm going to tell them up front, plan to have your time with me because I am interviewing you to see if you're going to be my doctor. Because I have a lot of aches and pains. I do not need a doctor telling me it's in my head. I do not need a doctor that says just take a pill. I want a doctor that's going to listen to me and not dismiss what I'm going through. I am at the point of my life where if you don't want to hear me and take care of me the way I deserve to be treated, then I will go to another doctor. Making sure I don't have any whole pieces getting impacted in there. I hate doing the one holes at a time. Yeah, Stacy, I'm just going to be, I'm going to be firm about this. Either you take care of me or I will pay someone else to take care of me. I'm not going to pay a doctor to constantly dismiss me. I hear these people fighting with their doctors constantly. And it's like, just no. If I'm going to pay, if they're going to be paid for a service, then they better provide that service. I am in the Atlanta area, so I wind up using Emory. Francis, are you in North Carolina? That's right, Stacy, you're up in Canada. And see, when I was working in Denmark, I found out that you could have private insurance and you can pay for certain doctors. They had doctors that only accepted private insurance, but most of the doctors accepted um, the public pay unified health care. Duke has a facility in Virginia? Or do you go to North Carolina for doctors? I used to live in North Carolina, and the two university hospitals that were the best to go to were UNC and Duke. And so that's why I asked. I lived in the Raleigh area for a while, and then I lived in the Greensboro area. And yeah, when we needed the kids, we always took them in to UNC, to the Children's Hospital at UNC, because UNC's Children's Hospital is better than Duke's Children's Hospital. And UNC also had the children's mental health facility. And with my grandson having his ADHD and autism, while they were figuring him out before he was properly diagnosed, when they would work on his medications, if they needed to change his medications, not a dose adjustment, but a true change of medications, it was easier to do it while he was in the facility. And UNC just had the higher ranking children's facility where we lived. Yeah, I don't even know what mine is. Mine covers 100% of a lot of things, my insurance. But I also pay into a copay plan where they pull a certain amount of money out of my paycheck, every paycheck. And so I pay into this cash card. And that pays all the copays for us. The amount that we pay into it is around the same that we'd pay out in copays. Last year we did not use it all, so I ended up buying things that I didn't need at the end of the year. Like the last day of the year, I was buying first aid kits and bandages, and ow, that hurt, and triple antibiotic ointment. I bought a small wheelchair, just durable medical equipment that would be covered to spend the money, because I wasn't giving them $900 of money that I paid into the system and not being able to use it. Because Jeff and I ended up not needing new glasses. So we didn't use the money on glasses like we normally would have. So, yeah. I found out that on Walmart.com, it will come up and tell you what is eligible for the plan. So I went shopping for medical stuff. Bought a scale, bought a blood pressure cuff, bought a TENS unit for my back. Just different things that to use up that money. Yeah, I don't pay anything by the time the insurance does its part, and then I do my part with my copay card. I don't pay anything out of pocket for my glasses. Touch up on my blade, because I just like to keep them sharp. I don't know that I'm going to get the other piece done before I go offline today. I cut that because I like to be able to grab this piece and pull it, hold on to it. And that way I can make sure that I'm cutting all the way through. And then I am also going to do a touch-up on tape. And this logic will make sense. I don't want my pattern to shift as I'm working, and so I will tape it in a few places. Going around. And that way it stays straight on the edge. Yeah. There is all kinds of fancy stuff you can buy to help you with all these cutting around curves and stuff. I choose not to spend my money that way. Kind of crazy. Oh, I got messages. Oh, you're talking about insurance stuff. I am going to try to take better care of myself this year and go to the doctors. I have something going on one of my foots. I have a one of my feet. I have a bone spur or something that's really bothering me. When I walk a certain way, it hurts. It feels like someone's stabbing me through my foot. So I need to go get that taken care of. I know it's probably going to end up in a surgery to remove whatever it is that's, I mean, I can feel it. It's a hard something. Either I stepped on something that is embedded in my foot, or it's a piece of bone or something. But whatever it is, it moves. It was farther under my foot, under the heel, and now it's up towards the back of the heel. So it has relocated over the last couple of years. So I should probably get it taken out. And take care of myself that way. I'm really curious with this cake. It's going to come out like that my grandchild is doing. All I know is I got a Mimi, I'm making you a cake, and it's going to have buttercream frosting. Which they didn't have to do because I did have my king cake this year. My mother used to send me a king cake every year for my birthday. And when she passed away, a friend of mine, when she found out about it, she was like, "Oh no, this is unacceptable." And so every year since my mother has passed away, so starting in 2019, every year she has bought me a king cake from oh my gosh, the name of the bakery just fell out of my head. And it's only like what I think is one of the best bakeries in New Orleans. Bifocals and trifocals, multifocal lenses are extra. They absolutely do cost extra. Gambino's, that's the name of the place. So she sends me a my birthday cake, my king cake from Gambino's Bakery every year. And I know you can see where some of the paper is in there. I just use a soft bristle toothbrush and I go over it and it knocks that out. But I'll do that cleanup stuff later. But yeah, I just do that, and sometimes it just knocks it through to the other side, and sometimes it just brushes it off the top. But it's just remnants from where I punch the hole. It's basically the whole paper, the whole of the paper that I cut out. I have not found a way to make that not happen, but I'll clean that up later. But it is not 100% centered, but I think it's going to be close enough when the hat is made. And I have my marking. So this is the back of the hat over here. And this is the front of the hat. So front and back. And then this is the inside. I go through toothbrushes because I use them all the time in my leather work and my leather care stuff. Because you can use them on almost every leather there is. You can use it, soft bristled toothbrushes on the softest of leathers. And after I do all the holes, I'll do all my hole punching and everything. And before I start stitching, I will clean up my workspace on the table and replace the tape I have down on it. And that way I can make sure I clean up all these pieces and get all the whole pieces off and on. Yeah, that's it. Set that over there. It's always nice when you get something you've never had before and you actually enjoy eating it. I'm glad you enjoyed your meal, Rosie. Jeff gets the chicken wraps from Wendy's all the time. When we get Wendy's, that's what he would get. That's what he gets. I think I need to find a way to mount my camera from the other side of the table, because it definitely the mount gets in my way here. Again, I'm using the basic paraffin wax tea candle and rubbing it over where my holes are going to be, so that when I use my hole punch, it pushes those hole pieces out of the hole punch really easily and not jamming it up. I'm going to move away all these holes from the previous pieces. I think I can use the multi-punch on this one. I think the arc in it is not too much that I think I can. Oh. Yeah, I'll be able to do that. I cannot there. Again. My husband's messaging to say he's on the way home with what is needed for my steak dinner. And he'll probably get me a piece of steak that is so big, there is absolutely no way for me to eat it in one meal. So I will wind up cutting my steak in half and putting half of it back in the fridge for tomorrow. Last time we bought potatoes, my sweet potato was so big I had to split it in half. And I still didn't eat half of it. It's like, this is big enough for like 3 people. I can see that someone's trying to call me. Let me see who it is. I don't think it's anyone I need to talk to. Nope, it's a spam call. I get so many spam calls a day, 7 days a week. I probably get 30 to 40 spam calls in a day. My phone number has been released to some kind of spam directory. And so they call me about my car's warranty. They call me about refinancing the car that's already paid for. I've gotten a few on, it's time to refinance your loan for your car. You'll get better interest rates. And I'm like, what's better than zero? My note is $0. So what's better than that? Are you going to start paying me money? So I don't answer numbers that I don't have programmed into my phone. If I can't tell who it's from, then I won't answer it. So that means if someone gives you my phone number, I'm not going to answer the call. Unless you're texting me to tell me who you are, then you can tell me where you got my number from so I can yell at somebody. I am firmly against freely giving away other people's information. Francis, I probably have more than 35 things wrong with me, but that requires me to actually go to a doctor to get diagnosed. I mean, there's some things I know I have when it comes to my neurodivergence. I have been diagnosed. My ADHD is diagnosed. When I say I have ADHD, it is not because I think I have ADHD. I was diagnosed with ADHD from a very qualified doctor. I do not take medicine for my ADHD because I am a horrible person who hates taking medicine, even though that's the industry I work in. No, actually, it's because I am allergic to anything that has sulfur in it, sulfates, and in some medications, specifically a lot of the generics, they use, if they need a binding agent, they will use a sulfate-based binding agent, which breaks me out in hives. So there's nothing like, you're taking your medicine and everything's working fine, and then you go get it refilled, and the pharmacy has changed which company they're getting their meds from because it's all based on the lowest bidder this time. Whoever was the lowest bidder this time, that's who supplies the medicine. And they change who they're getting their medicine from, and then you taking your medicine, which in theory should act exactly the same way as the prior, and you start breaking out in hives. And that absolutely happened. And a lot of insurances don't like buying name brand. And that's something that I'm already going to have to fight with on anything I need medicine for, is I absolutely must have name brand meds. It is the way it is. It's the only way to ensure that I'm not breaking out into hives and then have to take yet another medicine to counteract the hives. Marsha, one of the problems I have is I have strange reactions to meds. My family cannot take some of the more popular meds they give. I cannot take the number one first line medicine they give you for pain is hydrocodone. Oh, you fractured a leg. Here's some hydrocodone. That's like first line, inexpensive med that they give. The problem is I cannot take hydrocodone and walk in an upright position. It throws me off. I feel like I'm walking sideways. And several of the medicines do that. Codeine has no effect on me as far as pain goes, but it makes me hyper. So I wind up taking hydrocodone, anything with codeine in it, and I still hurt, but I'm just hyperactive, more hyperactive. So I want to bounce off the walls and be in pain. So I can't take codeine-based medicines because of that. Hydrocodone makes me walk sideways. Most medicine gives me that woozy in the head feeling, and I don't like that feeling. So for me, the only pain medicine that doesn't cause me that kind of feeling is tramadol. And then I'm still limited to how much of that I can take at one time. I cannot take over 50 milligrams of tramadol at one time, because if I do, it makes me feel like my skin's crawling. I have seen people that are strung out on drugs scratching at their skin until they have sores. And I never could understand how you could just start scratching your skin like that and dig holes in your body, until I was having shoulder problems, and the doctor actually prescribed 100 milligrams because of the tramadol, because the 50 milligrams was not cutting the pain. And so he upped it to 100. And I did that once. Actually, I took it twice to make sure that was what was giving me the reaction. And it made me feel like there was something under my skin crawling. And I found myself doing the same thing of just sitting there, just scratching skin for no reason. And so I I went back to the 50. I just increased the frequency of it, because if I can take 100 milligrams every 4 hours, then I can take 50 milligrams every 3. And it made it where enough of it was out of my system that I wasn't getting that effect, that skin crawling effect. For psychiatric meds, one of the number one psychiatric meds we cannot take. It makes our family suicidal. So yeah, I have just strange reactions to meds. Usually when you look at the side effects that they list are based on the frequency that they occurred during the clinical trials. And then they have the tiny print of some, and though it's some that did occur, they know it's related to the drug, but very few people have those reactions. And those are in the tiny print at the bottom of the list. Those are usually the ones I have. I don't usually have the most common side effects. I usually have the more rare side effects on meds, which is annoying at best. And, I had a doctor tell me, well, quit reading those labels. And I'm like, well, how will I know that I'm having one of the less common side effects and call it into the appropriate number if I don't know? Because you can actually do that when you have side effects to drugs. There's actually phone numbers that are supposed to be on that paperwork somewhere that you can call in and report your side effects, and it helps them because they do drug studies after a drug makes it to market. They're called real world evidence studies, where they're looking at everything that goes on in the real world once a drug gets out there. They also compare it with, they also look at what other medicines you're taking to see if there's some kind of drug interaction they're unaware of. So when you have strange reactions to a medicine, reporting it is actually a good thing. And I'm telling you this from a professional side of things, if this is the industry in which I work. Flutter, that is not uncommon that when you have any kind of major surgery like that, when my daughter had her gallbladder taken out, she became allergic to mushrooms and she became lactose intolerant. From her gallbladder. Doctor said there's no logical explanation why when she eats mushrooms, she gets violently ill now. But she does. Our bodies are so complex. I don't think even with another 200 to 300 years of research, how that they're actually going to figure out everything to do with the body. It's just entirely too complex. Keep knocking those holes out because these are harder to clean out if they get jammed up. And I'd rather not have to take it apart, because that's the only other option is using my little Allen wrench in here and pulling these out and then cleaning them out and then putting them back in. And the likelihood of me losing one of those tiny little Allen screws, it's pretty high up there on the list. I will be sure to tell them not to give me any medications through the IV where any of the side effects is eats flesh. Yes, these are leatherback shits. I'm going to have to bag them up and sell them now. Send them to Lisa and let her put them in resin. That one just didn't feel like it went through, but it did. At least now I adjusted it where it doesn't look like I'm smacking you in the face. I know on one of my early videos, I had it where I was coming up like this, and it looked like I was trying to smack you in the face. And I can't remember who it was. There was one smart aleck in the stream, and they were like, "Ow, ow, ow, ow! Quit hitting me in the face." But with our group, you never can remember who all the smart alecks are because there's so many of them. It must be, yep, it's doggy dog food time. I can tell. I can hear them upstairs. I think I can finish this in 30 minutes. And then we will have all the pieces cut out, all the standard pieces. And then I can go find the leather I need for my trim stuff and get it ready for the video tomorrow, which will be later in the day because it'll be when I get off of work. Because I have the regular job that I do. The job that pays the house note. I just really want to get all the holes done and get all the pieces cut out so that we're stitching next time. The setup part is one of the time-consuming parts. You figure we did 3 hours yesterday. We've been on 3.5 today. That's a large portion of the time. I mean, if I had someone to do all this work ahead of time, I can knock a hat out in a night or two. Sue is a perfect angel. Wait a minute, I got to scroll back up. What's going on here? Someone wanted me to make leather wings. I refuse. It's a lot of leather for something that people are not going to wear on the regular. Well, actually, if somebody paid for it, I would. But like most big projects like that, people don't want to pay the price. People forget that I have to pay for leather. I mean, I've had people say, "Oh, can't you give me a discount? Can't you do it for this much money?" And what they were offering was less than what the cost of the leather was. Not even counting the rest of the stuff, materials needed to make something. And so it's like, you want me to make it for less than what I paid for the leather? I don't think so. I mean, you think about it with this one, the leather was $10 a square foot. So when you're looking at paying $10 per square foot, and you need 10 to 12 square feet. Yeah, just for the leather alone, I can't sell this for under $100. My grandson is wandering around. He acts like he needs something.
Nope, don't need anything.
He must be bored.
Yep.
So Topher is down here watching me for a moment at least. Yeah, people forget, that, and well, okay, well, fine, I'll buy all the stuff for you to make it. Yeah, you still have to pay for my time. People want me to give up my time, or they see that I gave Robbie and Z a hat, and stuff like that, and they'll say, well, you made one for Cece DeVille, how come you can't make me a hat? And it's like, I do things with purpose. I made Scott the hat. I made him. He picked the style. And because of that, I've gotten one order for one already. And I'm probably going to get a second order for the exact same hat, but in black leather. Just plain black cow. So sometimes, you do that, and it's advertising. That's the best way I can put it. That, and I can give away whatever I want to whomever I want because it's mine. I paid for it. But from the business standpoint, it's advertising. CC DeVille loves his hat. I enjoyed the conversation I have with him, and he's already said we need to talk about future hats. So while I gave him that hat, the likelihood of me getting orders from CC in the future is up there.
I made the dishes. I'm going for a walk. Seems so training.
You don't need to get wet when it's cold outside. You're going to get sick. Please do not do that. Thank you.
I'm using this.
That's not enough. Thank you. It is raining outside, evidently. Actually, I'm hearing thundering going on outside. So it's doing more than just raining. And again, I'm going to put some tape on here to hold this pattern piece down. Did I lose my live? I guess I'm still here with everybody. It came up and it said that I was disconnected. So that concerned me. And if you hear noise in the background, that is Oliver putting dog food in the bin. We keep the dog food down in the basement because if we keep it upstairs, the dogs will get in it and they will go through 2 weeks worth of food in a day because they're fat butts. They have no control over their eating. So yeah. Household background noises. If I was upstairs, it would be worse. The office is where my husband is. So if he's gaming with his friends, he's talking all the time. The other place I use the computer is in what is classified as the formal dining room that I use as a computer room. And that is right next to the kitchen. So you have all the kitchen noise. So down here is the more quiet space in the house, even though it is not the absolute quietest space. Unless one day I make some changes and convert my garage. My idea is because my parking pad would hold 6 to 8 cars, is to take the current garage and close it in and turn it into a me room. And build a new garage off the front of that. You've been running my live, Lisa? Lisa. Oh, you've just been letting your live run. Interesting. Cool. So people have been just watching nothingness. I wonder if Kitty came in and started meowing, so they got some ASMR on there. You know what? There's worse things in life. Couldn't decide which way I wanted to put it, but that'll work. Ooh, my hand wants to shake. That is not okay. I felt some drag on this. If my stream disappears, it is because we are starting to have storms here. I hear the thunder rolling. And if we lose power or internet, I will finish cutting this piece out. And we will continue on tomorrow. I could actually do an entire ASMR video of leather crafting where you just hear the sounds of my leather work and me not saying anything. So you could hear my stream on Lisa's stream. I was actually on first, Monica, and Lisa had to go live to take care of some stuff with the game, with the Super Bowl game thing we're doing. We were actually in here, and she told me she was doing that. So yeah. I wonder how many people were sitting in Lisa's live listening, seeing if they could catch Lisa on the phone or something, thinking that Lisa was on speakerphone, and hoping to catch Lisa. Some deep secrets. Because trolls exist. Trolls are the ones that sit in our lives and don't push the thumbs up. We know you're there. And you need to tag one piece. That's this corner. That is the corner that I needed tagged. But when I go to stitch it together, I make sure that I line the pieces up so that they all sit straight. And I keep my pattern pieces in case I need them for anything while I'm making something, but I do not reuse my pattern pieces. I know people that do. I do not. I factor that in as it's part of the cost of the item is me printing off this wonderful pattern. So now I've got that piece done. So this will get sewn together. It will sit this way. This top piece will get sewn on it this way. I'm sitting here thinking while I'm going. And now I'm considering cutting back. I don't know that I could. Cutting back the green to the to halfway to the stitch line. I might see if that'll pull back. I'll have to play with that, because that would make it really cool for folding over for stitching. It'd make it easier. But so I've got that piece, and then, well, if I was holding the hat upside down, this would stitch into here like this. This band will get stitched around it as well. So when it's finished, the front of it will look like that. Because this will be stitched around to there. This will be stitched onto it, and you'll have that in the front. So yeah, so I have that. And my brim. And that is, for the most part, that is the majority of the hat that we will continue stitching tomorrow. After I get off of this live, I am going to find the thinner black. I know I have several hides of the thinner black. I'm going to try to find one that I can make a single cut long enough to go around the entire top of the hat. Let me pull that picture up again. Let me jump to the other screen. Tell it to present, share screen. That's a lot of rainbow. So I'm going to use the thin black so I can do this up here. That tan colored one will be black. And then on the bottom, this down here will be black as well. I'm thinking about changing how it is right here. Instead of overlapping the pieces like that, I'm thinking of butting them one on top of the other and having a double stitch line. You see the white stitch line goes across? I'm thinking about having one above and one below. Because I can stitch these, I can butt them up against each other like this. And then do a stitch line here and a stitch line here. I mean, it'll add a tiny bit to the height of the hat, but I think that would I think that would give it a cool look. To have double stitch line. I don't want to do it with the X's, not on this hat, but I think the double stitch line would give it a sharp look. It would make the X's be on the back side of it. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to wind up doing. Because I have a reinforcement piece I need to put in the front anyway, because they want the front of the hat to stand up more and not be able to collapse. And so I'll cut another piece of that either a piece of the cutting board fabric, or I'll get a stiffer piece of leather that I need to be able to put in, and I would be able to stitch it into it right here to hold it up. And I think that would be cool. Because this gets stitched into here, and how I did that is I will actually sandwich this right in here when I sew this on. So yeah, I've got ideas. Oh, my husband. Thank you, my love. I will start streaming on Twitch. I need to get my ducks in a row and start streaming on the regular, because there's requirements to becoming a Twitch partner, but you have to have the following to have enough people in there, and have enough people following you on Twitch to be able to do your number of streams you have to do in the period of time they give you, and have enough viewers during that period of time. So I'm trying to get my stuff together on YouTube before I do that, because I really think I could do okay over on Twitch, being that I'm doing leather crafting. Oh, yeah, Lisa. If I have a really long continuous piece of this that's long enough to go on that snake skin, do you want it to go in your snake mold? Because you could put down a thin layer of resin and then put this in the mold and then put resin behind it. Yes, you had a good idea, Monica. She could do this on the back, and then I might have some like this. And if I did, then when she did it, she could go back and put some of this down for the belly and then put thin resin over it, and it would have the belly as well. Lisa may or may not be paying attention in here right now. She may be off cooking again. Still working on her cooking. So, yes, a psychedelic snake. With bright eyes. Yeah. That would be cool. That would absolutely be cool. So now I have finished cutting everything out. That would be interesting, Monica, to put to get some of those little lights and put them behind the eyes. That's okay. On YouTube, my YouTube viewing keeps jumping back about 10 or 15 minutes on the video. So it's really, really weird. And I don't know why. Yeah, I will actually talk to Lisa if she's not in here. I don't think she's, I mean, I'm sure she's in here, like it's watching on her screen, but she may not be at her computer to hear us, especially if she was cooking and getting things ready because the game starts shortly. So she might be getting things ready for the game, for them to be able to watch the game. Which means she's not sitting at the computer hearing my voice. So, but I will check with her if she wants some of these scraps. And Monica, they actually have people that put LED lights in resin things. The only problem is when they when it goes out, you're stuck. Okay, Lisa, I will because I have the one snake here, I can make sure that the strips are long enough. And when you go to put it in on the curve, you can just cut straight lines on it to fold it and then cut off the extra as you go. And I just think that would be cool. Monica had a really good idea on that one. There will definitely be limited supply because I have limited amounts of this stuff. And Flutter will need one. I have now misplaced. There it is, my luxurious toothbrush. Because that's the next thing is I have to do is they have little white pieces of paper. I don't know if you can see that right here. Some people will sit there and carefully pick out all these little pieces of paper. I am not that patient. Unless it gets really stuck. Usually I can brush them out. And on this one, I'm going to have to make sure because that white paper is going to stand out with it being this rainbow and black. The any white paper pieces is going to really show through. And I don't want that. And sometimes the paper gets stuck in the holes, and when I go to sew, it will get punched through. So, yeah. Yeah, Marsha acts like people are worried about her needing to send them money. There's a few people that if they needed to send me money, I wouldn't be stressed over it. Because I know it would happen. I know it would happen. I know there's certain people you just know. You know who's not going to forget, so you don't have to send them 1,000 reminders. I have to be sent 1,000 reminders because I have ADHD and I can't remember crap most of the time. And so I will forget. It's like a pseudo forget, because like I'll have it on my list that I owe you money and I need to pay you, and then I'll forget to do it, and it's like, okay, I'll remember to do it later, and then by the time I remember, I'm halfway asleep and I'm in bed, because that's when my brain remembers everything it was supposed to do that day that it didn't do. Because that's ADHD. You get in the bed and your day starts to wind down and you're like, oh, I forgot to send Marsha that picture I promised her 3 weeks ago. Oh, I forgot to send Lisa that money from the stuff I bought 3 days ago. Oops, I forgot to pay Kendra's invoice. And so that's how it is. Thank you, Rob. I hope you'll stop back in. I am going to be streaming tomorrow evening around, I think it's 6 or 6:30 for a few hours, working on this hat again so that we can finish this hat together. I will not do this part I will not spend a 3-hour stream cleaning paper pieces out of the leather. I will do this part off stream. The only reason why it's on stream now is because I'm not going to start something new this close to ending stream. So Marsha, I'm going to ask you a question that's none of my business, so you don't actually have to answer it, but it's just a thought. If multiple banks have Zelle, you can Zelle from one bank to the other, I think. But that would be something that you would need to check with your own financial institutes. And there's a possibility you've already thought of that, and one of your banks does not have Zelle, and that's why you're having to transfer the funds around. And it's, like I said, it's not my business. It was just a thought that jumped in my head, and so I had to share the information. And my daughter and I, it's someone sent her money on CashApp, and she needed to pay something that does not accept CashApp. They only accept PayPal. But for it to the cash to get into her account would take multiple days, and she needed the money now. So she Cash Apps me the money, I PayPal her the money, and cash out the Cash App. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, sometimes it is certain things are a pain in the butt, and it's like, yeah, but it is what it is. And so you deal with it. My daughter and I have different banks, and her bank is not that close to the house. So there was she got a check. She got money before, and we deposited it through my account because my bank's closed, much, much closer. And then I can just send her the money. Because that was actually easier than trying to put it through her bank account. Especially since part of the money was going into my bank account anyway. So he just went to the closer bank. One of those crazy things, she needed to be able to Cash App the money anyway. So she didn't even need it in her bank. Yeah, I'm sorry, Flutter, that sorry, not sorry that, you know, winter is coming to the close and then spring comes. But not sorry, because that means that the ice will get off of those pretty rocks. And I still think you should go to those beaches full of agate and just bag up some and start doing the selling 1 pound bags of raw agate from the beaches in your area. I would buy some. Just saying. And yes, it is Super Bowl time. So that means that I am going to get offline because I know people are going to do Super Bowl stuff. And I know Rosie goes on at 7:15. And I am going to be on Rosie's channel at 7:15. Well, I'm going to be watching Rosie's channel at 7:15. Don't know that I'll necessarily be on Rosie's channel, but I might. So if you have nothing to do later, you can random treasures. You can absolutely go to Rosie's channel and watch Rosie have her social time. I think Lisa may be getting online part of the time to do her end of quarter who won something moments. So I am going to say thank you all for attending today and watching me work on this hat. I'm looking forward to finishing it with you all. I hope each and every one of you have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. And thank you for the birthday wishes, everyone. I will be streaming tomorrow at, I think it's 6 or 6:30, Tuesday and Thursday. I will stream, I think it's at 6. And I will get offline before Lisa and Kendra do their streams. That I will work on this hat, and I have 2 other hats I'm working on. So thank you again, everybody. Thank you again for the birthday wishes. I really appreciate it. I'm going to go take a break, get something else to drink, see when dinner will be ready, stretch my bones, and then I will come down here for Rosie's Live. And I will talk to you all another day. Bye, everyone.